Good morning, everybody. You have made it through possibly the most difficult school year you will ever experience. We experienced some things that hopefully we will never have to go through again, but kids, you showed grit, determination. You've really done an exceptional job and you really should be proud of yourself. So let me introduce you to your final project of the school year. It is entitled COVID-19 versus Diseases Throughout History. So this past semester, our school has clearly been cut short. You couldn't turn on the news, check Instagram, or watch any TikTok without coming face to face with this new disease called COVID-19. What we didn't know anything about 6 months ago, all of a sudden is something that we hear time after time after time each day. The world seemed to be in chaos. Every store is closing. The laws were put into place to make sure that people stayed inside. Now, the interesting thing about it is adults and kids alike were scared. We were entering into an unknown territory, trying to figure out how to adjust our lives to this new terrifying situation. While COVID-19 took the world by storm, it seemed like the world had never seen anything like this before. I know in my lifetime, I certainly hadn't. But we have. As historians, we have to put ourselves in context to the situation. Throughout all of world history, the world has seen horrible diseases. We've talked about a bunch of these things in my world history class. So in this project, what you're going to do is you are going to compare your unique experience with the COVID-19 lockdown with other epidemic diseases throughout world history. So we tried to make this project as easy and streamlined as possible. So you're going to do this in 3 easy steps. Step 1, you are going to do some basic research. I want you to choose one medieval disease to focus on. In a couple slides here, I'm going to give you 6 to choose from. I want you to simply focus on one. Then you're going to write a 5-sentence reflection on how that disease impacted people living at the time. So I want you to research a little bit about the disease. You can do it from the slides that I provide you, but I also encourage you to do outside research. Go into Google and research these things. And your job is to come up with a 5-sentence reflection on how that disease impacted the world at the time. Step 2. Then what you're going to do is you're going to find a current graph, map, or table that shows the current spread of COVID-19. I included one over here as a reference, but I do not want to see this in your project. You can't use this one. This is an example, but this is an example of the map that I'm sort of looking for. The virus has enveloped the world. This was updated May 27th, so just a little bit over a week ago from now. And it shows that the entire world has been impacted by this disease. So remember, for step number 2, I want you to find a table, map, graph, data about COVID-19, not about your medieval, but COVID-19. Finally, step number 3, I want you to write a personal 5-sentence journal about your experience during lockdown. Now, I don't want to pigeonhole you into this. If you want to go any further than 5 sentences, I would actually encourage that. I think it's very therapeutic and important to remember and remind yourself of all the stuff that you've gone through over the last 85 days or so. So if you need to go longer than 5 sentences, I think that's actually a good idea. 5 sentences is the minimum. But as you're writing, I want you to do your best to write as a historian would write. This entire last semester, we've been focusing on how historians work, all the skills of a historian. I want you to include specific dates, names, places, information as much as possible. Think about causes and their consequence. Think about continuity and change over time as you're writing about this. Think about what is historically significant. Maybe think about some ethical issues. Think about these historical thinking skills that we've been focusing on over the last semester in your response. Remember, in this slideshow, you are only editing 3 slides in total. Slides 17, 18, and 19, which I'll show you in just a moment. But here is your list of pandemics or epidemics that you can research. So for example, if you are interested in focusing on smallpox in the Americas, you simply click this link and it'll take you on to information all about smallpox in the Americas. Now remember, This is basic info. I encourage you to do a little bit more research outside of what I provide for you, but this will give you the general idea about what smallpox in the Americas look like. Then, once you've researched yours, you go to project. So you click this link here, and it takes you to slide 17. This is the first one that you guys are going to edit. You're going to write your 5 sentences of research here on the left-hand side. And then on the right, I want you to come up with an image of whichever disease that you are focusing on. So if you're doing the smallpox, come up with an image showing smallpox in the Americas. If you're researching the Black Death in the Muslim world, find an image showing the Black Death in the Muslim world. This image should be depicting the time that the epidemic was happening. So for example, I want you to show smallpox, but 1492 and beyond smallpox. I don't want to see smallpox from 1950. So make sure that your image is from the time period. Then you're going to move on to step number 2. This is where you are going to put your graph table map of COVID-19. I want you to write graph of COVID-19 or graph of the spread of COVID-19, something along those lines. And finally, the step that I am most interested in, my COVID-19 experience. On the left-hand side over here, I want you to write your 5-sentence personal experience. What was your life like during this epidemic? Tell me as much as you are comfortable with telling me. Once again, remember, 5 sentences minimum, but you can go much further if you would like. All you have to do is copy this slide and paste it onto another slide. So even though this is slide 19, you could write here on slide 19, 20, 21, however long you want to go. Remember, 5 sentences is the minimum. Last, I want you to include an image that you feel best represents the COVID-19 outbreak. When you think of the outbreak that has happened, what image pops into your mind? And I want you to paste an image here. Kids, this is your final project of the entire school year. We're assigning this on Monday. This is due Friday. You have an entire week to do this. But this is worth 30 points. This is a massive amounts of points for you. Finish out on the strong suit. And also, on Thursday and Friday this week, I'm going to share a Zoom link. So if you want to just come and hang out and say goodbye to me and Miss Churchian, we'll be hanging out for an hour each of those days if you want to just drop in and say goodbye. If you have any questions about this project, feel free to ask. Do not hesitate. Kids, you've made it to the last week. I love you all. I think you are the most impressive group of kids I've worked with possibly ever, because you've shown more grit and determination than I could ever imagine kids showing. So keep up the good work. Enjoy this project. And kids, I'll see you on Thursday and Friday.